stand to the pledge of allegiance to the flag and remain standing for the invocation. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. This is the time of the year where we need to remember the reason for the season. Let's pray. Most gracious Father, we thank you tonight for the opportunity to gather here. We thank you for the services that we are about to honor tonight, and we pray your blessings on this council and this city as we move forward into the new year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mary. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilman McDonald?
Here.
Graham?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Candia? Day?
Here.
Mayor Martina?
Here. Item 5, declaration of conflict of interest.
None.
There being none. And now we'll have a ceremonial matter. This is a proclamation, recognition of Assistant Fire Chief George Vargas, 47 years of service. And with that, our Fire Chief is going to start off the ceremony, and please go ahead, Chief.
Good evening, council, staff, family, and friends. I'd like to take this time to recognize a longstanding member of the Newman Fire Department, Assistant Chief George Vargas. If you can come up. Chief Vargas has done more overall good for the firefighters in his community than any other volunteer. Chief Vargas has decided to retire with 47 years of service to the Newman Fire Department and West Stanislaus Fire Protection District. Some were surprised, some were expecting. However, everyone agreed that his retirement will be a big loss to the volunteer ranks of the fire department. Chief Vargas was a solid mentor and the perfect example of a hard worker. Chief Vargas was a breed of volunteer that will be hard to emulate. His value system is admirable, while he never needed to gloat or boast. His actions always spoke louder than his words. During Chief Vargas's career, he has seen, heard things that no one should. But to this day, he remains humble and refuses to take credit for his countless acts of heroism. Chief Vargas was part of a generation that were truly fire breathers. However, he would embrace change even though we knew he didn't like it. He would always be willing to take the rookies under his wing and mold them into firefighters. Chief Vargas never had to remind firefighters he was a leader because it was obvious to everyone around him. As firefighters, we are expected to wear personal protective equipment. One of those items is a structural firefighting helmet. Everyone always had a saying for Chief Vargas on the fire ground, and it was, we never knew if he was coming or going. Let me explain. A firefighter's helmet is designed with a brim in the back to help protect embers from falling down their personal protective equipment. Chief Vargas would always wear it like a baseball cap. So, yeah, so we always say you didn't know if he was coming or going. You could always recognize him on the fire ground. It is with great pleasure and sorrow to congratulate Assistant Chief Vargas on his retirement. Those that are here tonight and those that couldn't make it wish Chief Vargas the best in his retirement. Thank you. So the mayor will come up now. The mayor has some words.
You're actually going to find out a little bit about George. Probably everyone in this room already knows, but this is proclamation of the city of Newman. Whereas George Daniel Vargas was born at the West Side Hospital, graduated from Morris Simba High School in 1960, married his soulmate, Roberta, in 1962, enjoyed a 32-year career from 1969 to 2001 at Abbotsford, and has been a lifelong resident of the city of Newman. And whereas George was drafted by the Army in 1966, serving in Vietnam for 16 months and joining the Veterans of Foreign War upon his return in 1968. Whereas George began his distinguished career in the fire service with the Newman Volunteer Fire Department in 1970. obtained the rank of assistant chief. Whereas for the past 47 years, George has served under 6 fire chiefs. During his tenure, he has responded to emergency calls at any hour, and whereas he is the commander of the Honor Guard at the San Joaquin Valley National Cemetery, and whereas George's community involvement includes being a member of the Lions Club International, volunteering for American Cancer Society Drive Cancer Patients for Treatment, and volunteering at Agape Food Pantry, serving in the Newman PD VIPS program, being a regular blood donor and coaching youth, and whereas George's thoughtful collection, clean and repair used medical equipment and generously distributed to those in need. And whereas, due to his extensive community service, George was honored along with his wife as Grand Marshal of the 2006 Newman Fall Festival, was recognized for his more than 3,000 hours in the Livermore VA Medical Center, was a recipient of the Newman Rodeo Club Citizens of the Year in 2014. It was bestowed the President's Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015. And whereas Newman has been made a better place due to all of Georgia's community contributions, and now therefore I, Robert Martina, Mayor, on behalf of the great city of Newman, hereby proclaim Tuesday, December 12, 2017 as George Vargas Day in the city of Newman, and extend the city's best wishes to George as he embarks on the next chapter of his life, and expresses sincere congratulations for his many years of service to the community. Dated this day, 12 of December 2017. George, congratulations. I know I've known George, I haven't lived in Newman all my life. I've only lived here about 28 years. And George is one of the first people that I met. And one of the things in this proclamation that everyone knows it to be true, Newman has been made a better place due to all of George's community contributions. And I think everyone in this room has been touched by George in some way. And George, thank you so much for all you do. Now we have some gifts someplace. Oh, they're right here in front of me. Okay. Well, this is your proclamation.
Thank you.
And then,
Oh, boy, this is fancy. That's nice and clean, too. I want to thank you all for coming here. I appreciate it. Fire department's gone through a new stage of group, younger people, and we got a good leader involved. And it's like, I was thinking today, it's like the old 49er team. They're rebuilding, and now they got some good leaders. Hopefully they'll follow the leaders and let the young people do what needs to be done. Thank you.
excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry.
I got a little award for you too.
And your name, sir?
My name is Melvin Oliver.
Hey, it's the mayor of Gustine.
Hi, everybody. I have a certificate of recognition, and this certificate is awarded to George Vargas. Be it known that upon the recommendation of the mayor and city council, which is Joe, Ellen, Pat, and Craig, of the city of Gustine, you are hereby honored with the utmost gratitude for your everlasting dedication to the Newman Fire Department and for your commitment to continuing mutual aid efforts with the City Gustine Volunteer Fire Department, Pat and his crew, and they really appreciate everything that you've done for them. The City of Gustine congratulates you on your retirement.
Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. He does a lot also with the VFW and for all of us. I work for Mark Kewen, and believe me, these are the kind of people that make a terrible day something special. So thank you. Thank you, Gary.
Well,
No, we're gonna take a short break, but, I want to give you some refreshments and that sort of thing, George.
thanks, guys. Thank y'all. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna get
Okay, we're back in session. And we'll move to item 7, which is from the public. These are non-agenda items. So if anyone would like to speak to the council, please go to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Walt.
Good evening. My name is Kim Betancourt, and I live at 575 Sycamore Avenue in Gustine. I am Director of Curriculum Instruction for the Newman Crows Landing Unified School District. I've been teaching in Newman for a long time. I taught first grade for 25 years, and I was a reading specialist in the district before coming to this position. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about a community initiative that we'd like to partner with basically the entire community on, and it's called the NCLUSD School Readiness Initiative. School readiness has a profound impact on a student before they even enter kindergarten. We need students to come into our school system prepared and academically, socially, and they need to be healthy. So we're starting an initiative that we'd like to involve the entire community in, and we've purchased a program called Footsteps to Brilliance. There's tons of research out there and a lot of information on the early years, 0 to 5. And students need exposure to literacy, they need exposure to books, they need exposure to language to be prepared and successful when they start kindergarten in the public school system. And we find that a lot of our students come to school already 1 to 2 years behind their peers because they have not had the exposure to books and literacy. The Footsteps to Brilliance app is available free to all community members, all children, families, parents. It's in both English and Spanish. It provides digital books that students can access, literacy activities, games. Everything is research-based and tied to educational literacy, and it's fun. Kids are enjoying it. We are offering it to all families in the Newman Crows Landing Unified School District, so that includes Diablo Grande, Crows Landing, and Patterson. I've brought some little cards. They look like this, and I've left them with Mr. Holland over there. Our next step is to reach out to our partners in the community, which with a literacy collaborative meeting. It'll be held at McConnell on January 18th, actually at 5 o'clock. And the goal is to involve everybody. The more people in our community that are involved in promoting literacy, the better off our community as a whole will be. So we'd like to invite the City Council to join us in this partnership. We're going to be inviting businesses, community members, service organizations. There'll be an invitation that goes out. If you have any suggestions or information or any other partners that you think would like to participate in this initiative, please contact Mr. Philpott or myself at the district office. We feel that education is the key to success in any community, and an educated community is a thriving community. So in order to start off on the right foot, we need to get to those kids before they ever even walk through our doors. I'm passionate about reading, I'm passionate about literacy, and I'm very, very excited about this initiative. So I would appreciate your support, and I thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Is this app available to the students on their Chromebook?
The app is available to students in school. Some of our kids are already using the app. It's also available on any mobile device, and it's available with or without internet. So the content can actually be downloaded. The kids could be playing it in the car or reading books in the car while you're driving, to go shopping. So it's readily available. If you look online, the Napa County School District has a long history with Footsteps to Brilliance and has a lot of success. I've been to a couple of workshops where they've presented. They've got a lot of information, so it's easily searchable online if you want some more background information on it, or you can call us at the district office. We'll actually have someone from the collaborative, from the company, the program, the Model City Innovation, at the meeting on the 18th, and they'll be doing a presentation. So you can hear more about it there, too. But yes, readily available to all students.
I have a question to do, well, not so much a question, but I'm pretty excited about the program.
as part of the 2-on-2 meeting with superintendent and school board, we sat down and he introduced this to us, and basically I was really excited to know that that this is coming about. One of my concerns is that I mentioned to superintendent, would this have an impact on the special need kids? And he assured me that, you know, this is going to be something that's going to, you know, that they'll be able to, I guess, get
Yes.
behind too. So
Yes,
I'm
I was actually
pretty
visiting
excited.
a special day class this morning at Hunt Elementary, and there were about there's 9 students in the class, and 3 of them at least were on the actual program. And I was talking to them a little bit. They were reading from the program. So it's levelized, so it can meet the needs of many different students.
Right. Well, my wife, Chris McDonald, you know, she's worked with special need kids, and I mentioned it to her, so she's pretty excited about it too, and it's something I think that the city needs to embrace, and it's something that's going to make us move forward in the school system. Thanks so much for the
Thank you,
program.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak to the council? Now's his chance. There's a
There's
gentleman
a
that,
gentleman ahead of you.
that's okay. We've got all night.
Good evening. My name is Walt Waite. I was appointed by the council to represent Newman on the oversight committee for the anyway, for the spending of the money for the roads, the tax money in there. We did schedule, there was a meeting scheduled for October, which was canceled. We did meet in November. We appointed a chairman and a vice chairman. The representative from Patterson came up with an idea to get the information in the B so that people would know where money was being spent, because 120 miles of county road have been reworked. And we were told that was illegal, that that's not what we were there for at this time. So that was dropped. I don't know when the next meeting will be. This morning I did meet with Mr. Holland, and he did give me the information of what Newman wants to do with the roads. I don't know what I can do with that, but I will see what I can do to try to fulfill the job I was appointed to. I thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you volunteering for this. And, you know, it's important to have members of the community that are on these committees, so you can review it and see exactly what's going on. And, you know, you can tell your friends or you tell people in the community exactly what's going on sometimes.
Well, I don't know anything.
Well, it's a learning process. You're gonna know more meetings you attend, and you'll help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walt.
Okay, ladies. Yeah.
Yep.
Your turn.
Hello, my name is Laverne Cogan. I live at 1204 L Street in Newman, and I got a lovely little ticket for $50 because my garbage cans are outside. The problem that I'm having, the home was built somewhere around 1959. The home has cinder block all the way around the house. There's only one small opening in the front. It is 28 inches. Now the law or something needs to be done, because this home was done and constructed with all of the assets as far as the garbage cans were concerned. I'm sure all of us here at one time had those little galvanized garbage cans. You put them in, you take them out. Well, Bertolotti doesn't do that anymore. And it's these Mahamas. So Linda has come with me. She has some pictures which she has taken of the fence. Is it okay if we show you?
Certainly.
Yeah, we can't take any action.
No,
We
but
just
would
put
you
up-
like to see at least the pictures?
It doesn't fit the.
It doesn't fit the entrance. The
That's fine.
entrance to
That's
the
fine.
fence has 2 posts in metal into the cinder blocks. So the fence itself sits right in the front. Nothing can go in and nothing can come out. I was told that I could plant a tree there and hope that the tree grew really fast and that the garbage cans would be out of sight. Then I was told, just cover them up. I did. I put blankets. You couldn't see them. But what happened was it rained. The blankets got wet. So then when the sun came out the next 3 days, we had mildew. Mildew that smelled so bad, the neighbor came over and asked me, please, get rid of the blankets or let me wash them. So I told him, but if I take the blankets out, I'm going to end up with another one of these. And sure enough. So I am asking that homes that were built way back when, we went ahead and had that home built according to the laws at that time. But it is not my fault that those garbage cans are so big and no longer can be placed anywhere. There is no backyard. It's a complete cinder block fence. In 2015, there was an accident right outside my house. The fence saved the life of 2 young men, but unfortunately, they hit the fence so hard they cracked it. In 2019, there was a lawsuit, and they told me that in order to fix that fence, it's going to cost $10,000. So this is not something that you can tear down and hope that you can open them up and then be able to walk in or out. As you can tell, Linda, we have the pictures. There is only 28 inches, and that is the wood fence. So all we're asking for is a chance. I don't know where else to put the garbage cans. I can't pick them up, and I can't take them through the garage because there's only a door, and the door also is small. So I'm begging someone that just wants to maybe help some of us old timers. I was born and raised here. I have the most respect for Newman. I just need a hand. That's all. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Show the pictures. Thank you, all, everyone.
Thank you.
We're sorry if we interrupted.
No, you
your
did
not at all.
No way.
No.
No.
Thank you.
We love hearing from you folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still on item 7. Items from the public is a non-agenda items. If there's anyone else that'd like to speak to the council, please go to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Being none, we're going to move on. Okay, we're going to 8, which is the consent calendar. Item 8E, with concurrence of the council, I would like to move that to February. And that's adopt resolution number 2017, next number, approving amendments to number 1 to the professional services agreement approved November 8, 2016 with Kenneth Jackson Consultants to perform well rehabilitation service in 3 of the city's existing wells. We'd like to move that to February.
January, please.
Oh, January.
Please.
You changed,
Yes.
I wrote it
January.
down.
January, please.
but that's okay. Okay, January. And concurrent with the.
Concur. Yeah, I moved that. We moved it to January.
I second
Sure.
it.
Okay, motion's been made.
And Leroy seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We moved it to January. Okay. A would be waive all readings of ordinance and resolutions except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the November 14th, 2017 meeting. D, adopt resolution number 2017, next number, approving the Measure L Master Funding Agreement. F, approval of home recipient agreement for fiscal year 2017, 2018.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as read with the changes that were suggested.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 4 with 1 absent. Number 9 is public hearing. A, approval of Northwest Newman Master Plan and accompanying environmental impact report. 1, adopt resolution number 2017, next number, resolution of the Newman City Council to certify an environmental impact report, adopt findings related to significant impacts, alternatives, and statement of overriding considerations for the Northwest Newman Master Plan.
Did you want to read
If there's
B2?
any statement,
No, I'm going to do a report on all, the whole thing.
okay,
So
but
do-
should we take one at a time?
You can take the votes one at a time, but they can do the reports all at once.
Okay,
So you can read it.
okay. Adopt number 2 is adopt resolution number 2017, next number, a resolution of the City of Council of the City of Newman adopting the Northwest Newman Master Plan for Newman 2030 General Master Plan, Area 3, and approving related general plan amendments 17-01, annex number 17-02, and pre-zone number 17-02 application.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll go ahead and handle this presentation. So we're continuing our item and presentation tonight. As you know, this is the Northwest Newman Master Plan. This is a project we've been working on for a number of years. It dates back originally to 2007 when the city adopted our general plan, the 2030 general plan. As part of that, the public at the workshop stressed the desire to have a comprehensive planning process for future annexations. So what they did is they bifurcated the sphere of influence into 10 distinct areas and said that they wanted a master plan for each one of those areas. In around 2010, there was a group of landowners out there that started a process of developing a master plan for Master Plan Area 3. And let me just back up for a second. This kind of shows the area that we're talking about. So on the west is a CCID canal. Up here on the top is Stir Road. Down along the eastern edge is Highway 33. And then we have some city limit line here. And then this is the high school. Comes up to the Jensen Road extension and comes all the way out. Again, this is an area that was defined by the Newman General Plan. What you're seeing in yellow is primarily the residential uses, neighborhood uses. The areas outlined in orange are the non-residential, which would be community commercial, professional office, and business park. This is Fig Lane. It kind of bifurcates both the non-residential from the residential and will serve as a buffer. So in 2012, in 2011, we reached out to the property owners group because they had kind of put their project on the shelf. We reached out to them, being staff, because we were interested in the non-residential portion of it. We thought that would be an asset to our community when we saw what was going on up north in Patterson with the Keystone development going on and the number of jobs that they were bringing in there. So in 2012, the City Council approved the development of the master plan and the company EIR and decided to make the investment into those documents so that we could move forward with an annexation process. In 2014, we took a little break to comply with LAFCO ag policy. We submitted an urban growth boundary to the community. It's a 2040 urban growth boundary, says that we cannot expand our sphere of influence. We will only develop in there within that time frame, and it was overwhelmingly approved. That boundary, in accordance with what you're seeing here, would be Stir Road to the west. Stir Road to the north, and CCID to the west would be the boundaries of the urban growth boundary. So we've moved forward. We've had some public meetings at the beginning of this year. Earlier this summer, in the summer, we had a scoping session for the environmental impact report. And then in October of this year, the master plan and the environmental impact report were submitted to the Planning Commission for their review. They reviewed it and voted 2-1 in favor of a positive recommendation to the City Council. Unfortunately, only 3 members were able to attend, so it did require a 3-0 approval to get a positive recommendation. So tonight, this item comes back before you without a recommendation from the Planning Commission. We started this at the City Council level in November. November 14th, we had the consultant from the master plan present the master plan to you. And then we followed up with the consultant from the EIR, give you an overview and walk you through the EIR and all the findings and mitigation measures that are a part of that. It was council's decision at that night not to rush the process. We've gone through it a long time, and to continue the public meeting till tonight. And you did ask that we send out re-noticing to the property owners and let them know that the item has been continued, and we've done that. Those notices were sent out on November 30th at that time. So this again just talks a little bit about how the general plan talks about having to develop the master plan, as well as the how the sphere of influence is broken into 10 distinct areas. And again, this is the area here. So we're looking at area 3 is is the one that we've prepared the master plan for. One of the reasons, or the primary reasons why area 3 was chosen, infrastructure is right across the street in Sherman Parkway. There's a water line and the sewer line, storm drainage line in there as well. But the primary reason wasn't the potential for jobs. The development of the business park, the development of the community commercial, and the professional office. Those were the primary drivers of why the council elected to go forward with this particular project. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but there's a potential there to create over 2,000 jobs in the city of Newman in just that little area right there. So that's just kind of the historical perspective that I have just talked about, but we're going to kind of move on a little bit. So the purpose of why the General Plan Committee recommended the council adopt a master plan is because they wanted a logical and orderly extension of the city as we moved out and extended out from where we are. We believe that this master plan will result in high quality neighborhoods with amenities as well as commercial and employment opportunities. It provides for the extension of utilities, and those are all laid out in the master plan of where those utilities are going to be laid out and the approximate sizes of what the water line and the sewer lines are going to be. And then it also requires that in the long run we have to develop a financing plan, and then we'll do development agreements with the landowners for some reimbursement and timing of the development of the infrastructure. So we're going to talk a little bit about the land use now, but as we get into the next figure, we'll show where the non-residential, the commercial uses are, and there's going to be a mix of commercial, community commercial, office, and business park uses. We're going to show where the parks and the school site will be, and then we do have a little bit of very low density, and that was something that the General Plan Committee put in as well. The very low density is kind of a semi-custom area that's going to be included in there. It's not a very big area. We're only looking approximately about 50 lots out of that. And then it just talks a little bit about the PMR, which is planned mixed residential, and it just allows for various types of housing. And right now we get about 4 to 4.5 units to acre. A PMR requires a minimum of 5, so you'll probably see a little bit higher density than we're currently being built at right now. So again, here we go into the land plan. This purple area here is business park land. It's earmarked for business park. There's a roadway that kind of comes in and goes down the middle of that area there. This brown area here is community commercial. That'd be, in layman terms, more of a shopping center kind of use. And then PO would be professional office. Then we have Fig Lane, which will be kind of buffering the non-residential from the residential. All the yellow again is going to be that planned mixed residential, which is primarily a single family home type of use, but they'll be interspersed with some duplexes and a little bit more of a higher density maybe a high-density residential. We do have one area that is earmarked for a high-density residential, and that's an apartment complex type use. And it's up here at the corner of Fig Lane and Stir Road. It's approximately 9 acres in size. We estimate that would be about 180 units to go out there. We've tried to strategically place some park sites. We put a park across the street from the high density, thinking that there might be some families in there and the park would serve that well. We put a park adjacent to the school site for a joint use there, so when the school's not in, we can use some joint use facilities there. P4, which is adjacent to Jensen Road, will be actually a dual use park. It's also served as a basin. And then we'll do some amenities in there as well, but there'll be some park site in there as well. And then lastly, on the westernmost portion, there's a 10-acre site that's earmarked for a sports park. And we say sports park at this time, and I can't tell you whether that's going to be a baseball, softball complex or a soccer complex. We just have not got to that level yet, but we showed the sports park out there. And then to the south, even though it's not part of this plan, we've just shown that there's potential to expand the sports park to about another 12 acres, which would be about a 20-acre sports park. For those of, a lot of us have kids and that do a little bit of sports, you know, there's a lot of jobs that come along with that. You know, you could have one tournament, you can have like 300, 400 kids in your community for a weekend. So, you know, restaurants and other commercial uses could benefit from that. The business park. So at build out, we're looking at the plan would accommodate about 1,350 residential units, and that would be a combination of the single family and the multifamily. We're looking at about 1.2 million square feet of employment uses, about 2,000 jobs or a little bit over, and about 45 plus or minus acres of parkland and recreational uses. And I say 45 because there's also some trails that'll be a part of that that goes in there. The master plan does include design standards for residential and non-residential areas to ensure that we're getting high quality development as part of it. And back up when we go back to the business park. So the business park, what we're really looking at is just under 60 acres of business park, about 900,000 square feet of space, and our fiscal impact estimates about 1,200 jobs in that area. Community commercial makes up just over 27 acres. They think that would accommodate about 300,000 square feet of use of commercial space and generate about close to 550 jobs. And then professional office, it's a 10-acre area, but they think net would be about 8.5 acres of professional office, about 90,000 square feet, and that would generate about 300 jobs. Now, so main access to the general plan area would be, so this would be what the circulation element looks like. These are the main roads, basically your arterials and major collectors. Stir Road up on top would provide some main access through 3 points. Harvey Lane would be extended down to meet up with this alignment down to the south. There's a mid development road that traverses through, and then Fig Lane would extend down all the way down to Fig Lane as well. Jensen Road would ultimately come all the way through. The first half of this Fig Lane here, what you're seeing here, would be a 4-lane road. And then you come into a roundabout, and then from this point westward, it would choke down to a 2-lane arterial road. We also have 2 more roundabouts, one looking at Jensen and Harvey, and then one up here at midsection and Harvey up there. That would be part of the, would be a roundabout in that particular area. When you look through the master plan, it'll show you the details of what these road widths are, how big the sidewalks are, how much landscaping, and some of the other things that go along with that, and that's all shown as part of it. And then this road here, again, this is just internal access for the business park section over here. There are potentially 4 park sites in here, ranging from about just under 4.5 acres to 10+ acres. Like I said, we tried to distribute them evenly throughout. We have a proposed sports park on the western edge, and then the one we talked about, the dual use basin will be down at the site. So again, here are what we identify as the 4 potential park sites. Sports park again is out here to the west, dual use basin down here, and then a combination school park site. Based upon these locations, each of the residential houses would be no more than 3/4 of a mile away from a park, so they will be within walking distance of each of the parks. One of the main characteristics of the master plan and reason why people wanted the master plans to do, because you wanted to make sure that you're planning for the infrastructure, the water, sewer, storm drainage. Within your master plan document, all of that is laid out. Tells you, 10-inch water line versus a 12-inch water line. It gives you the size of the sewer lines. It's all been engineered to a certain extent in terms of what the capacity needs to be. There's also a well. We've already identified and negotiated with the property owner to construct a new city well, as well as a new 1 million gallon storage tank. We're at 50% design of that project as it is, so that's going to be moving forward prior to really most of the development on there, because that'll also benefit the existing residents as well. We're anticipating that we will be at the state board for an expanded sewer plant capacity, and at this point they're talking either April or June of this year to get us the new orders for that. Ultimately, new development has to pay its own way. So prior to any development occurring, there needs to be a financing plan about how all the infrastructure is going to be paid for and who's paying for it and the like of that. There'll also be a phasing plan talking about, which roads are going to go in first, where the infrastructure is going to be, what triggers the next phase of the infrastructure that has to be in there, so there are no surprises. All the infrastructure will be in place prior to development occurring. Those plans will ultimately come back to you for your approval prior to development occurring out there. So the next steps, based upon what happens tonight or at some future date, once the council takes action on item number 1, whether that's tonight or in the future, the city will have to file a notice of determination, basically acknowledging that the environmental impact report has been certified by you and approved. There have been some concerns voiced about CCID water and farmers being able to continue to get water. We sent out a letter in November and have met with some property owners over that issue, and we continue to have discussions with those property owners as well as CCID on that issue. And then we still need to finalize the modified property tax sharing agreement for the non-residential portion. The county didn't want us to get too far ahead of the master plan, so that'll be a follow-up step for you as well. All these items will come back to you at some point in time in the near future. At some point, if the council elects to move forward with the annexation and approve it, we still have to finalize the LAFCO application and bring it back to you and get your authorization to submit that application to LAFCO. LAFCO is the final approval. Even if you approve something tonight, the annexation is not official until LAFCO takes action. So even if you approve the master plan and the annexation and allow that tonight, again, it's not official until LAFCO takes action. We'll still have to, again, based upon approvals, we'll have to modify the zoning ordinance, the general plan, and like I said, develop both financing plan and phasing plans and negotiate development agreements. And that's all that I have at this point, but I can answer any questions. You did continue your public hearing to this date certain, so we would request that you open up the public hearing, allow the public to comment, and then we can take it from there, Mayor.
Yeah, I have one question. Is there any latitude or openings for private dollars to come in under the master plan?
100%. I mean, it's going to have to be a private-public partnership anyways. The city cannot finance all this infrastructure. So we've invested some funds up into this point to get to this point, but we are expecting that we will be reimbursed for our costs associated up to date. And then we'll have to figure out through the financing plan and the phasing plan how much more the city wants to invest, if anything, at this point in time. I would say that we may, if anything, the most I would probably say is, Jensen Road currently isn't in the city. If the annexation ultimately does go through the city, I think that presents an opportunity there for the city to improve that area for not only city residents, but the residents that live in that area. There's a lot of traffic in there. I think there's a lot of issues out there. I think the property owners in that area would like to see cleaned up and made that road wider so that they could travel safely on there. That might be one of the first things that could be done. And as well as extending the infrastructure from Sherman Ranch at the railroad tracks into this area. The water well side will be one of the first ones as well. So yes, your answer is yes, there is opportunities for the private industry to come in.
And a lot of the infrastructure fees or costs fall back on the builders, correct?
They all do.
To build out
yes.
water.
Any dollars the city puts forth will be reimbursed by developers.
Absolutely. Okay.
So unless we're successful getting grant funding,
Right.
then that might offset some of that development cost. But the city will not be expending our funds without some kind of reimbursement agreement plus interest to get that back.
And that'll be part of the financial structure that still needs to be developed.
That'll be part of the financing plan,
Right.
phasing plan, and development agreements that are still in the process. We'll have to work with.
Good question. This is a public hearing, so I will open up to the public for any comments.
Good evening. My name is Chris McDonald, and I live at 224 Northampton Way. I'm not sure about the map, and I'm not even sure if this question is appropriate for this thing, but the area, the tan area going down 33, how far does that go down? Does that go down to Kern?
No, this brown area right here would
Yeah.
extend to our existing city limits, which is the convalescent home.
The convalescent home.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the edge of the city limits at this time.
Okay, so is there any possibility of that being extended to Kern, where that unsightly facility, abandoned facility that houses pigeons?
That's already in the city. That's not a part of this. We are actually working with property. I can discuss it with you after. We're actually working
Okay,
with that
'cause
property owner to
I think that-
rehabilitate that site.
Okay, because I just think that that's something that really needs to be addressed. I think it's wonderful that we're looking at expanding and improving and growing, but there's some things that's within the city that still needs to be handled, and maybe I should have come to some earlier meetings, but that is one of the things that probably should be addressed for the city. I'm sure there are many people that are concerned about that facility. Thank you.
Sherry Marsigli, 820 North Avenue in Gustine. I'm here as a property owner of 27807 Highway 33 in Newman. I met with Mr. Holland last Thursday. I received a letter from the city offering to meet and discuss things like the CCID rights. Given the time of year, it took a while for me to be able to do that meeting. And then I wrote a letter recapping what I understood, we discussed at that meeting. My understanding, it didn't get into your packets in time. I believe Mr. Holland has put it in front of you, but I doubt that you've had a chance to read it. Mr. Holland basically said that Newman had approximately 30 acres of land that is in Tier 1 CCID water right now, and said that the city would be willing to allow us to continue getting Tier 1 water and therefore guaranteeing water. My family's been there for many years, and we irrigate that property and supplement feed to our horses and cattle. And since this build out looks like it's going to take a while, we can't just sit there on a dry patch of ground. I was given a document about 3 pages long, and in that document, like second paragraph, first page says that CCID does not allow the transfer of water unless it is to a same property owner or immediate family members. And then I did speak to a CCID employee, and they said that would not be allowed. So we're back to square one, not being able to get water, being on Tier 2 water, tripling our price of water. And I don't know what else the city can do, but it puts us in a very bad spot. And when you say that we could get Tier 1 water until you move dirt, without having something in writing, does that mean when you move dirt and you dig a well, or does that mean when you move dirt and put a water line down 33? None of it's been spelled out, none of it's in writing. So I'm asking that the council, since this has been going on this long, another month is not going to make or break any deals with anybody, that I would like to see something in writing, knowing what you were able to do to keep us viable until 5 years down the road or whenever. CCID will flat out not. Once you annex that property, I'm done. And they will make no exception. None. The only exception they've made over the years is that if you have 20 or more acres and you flat out disagree with the annexation, you can stay in Tier 1 until, I can't remember, I don't have the paper in front of me. I addressed in my letter that the negative impacts to my family impending the annexation of our property, which is located within the Northwest Newman Master Plan. Our first concern is the immediate detachment of our property from CCID and loss of Tier 1 rights. You informed me that the city of Newman owns approximately 30 acres of land with Tier 1 water rights, and the city is willing to ensure we will continue to receive Tier 1 water rights until building begins. I appreciate the city's offer, but we'll still have some questions. Would we be billed at Tier 1 prices? Is this allowed by CCID? According to their paper, it is not. And according to my discussion with an employee, it is not. Will our property be considered Tier 2 immediately by CCID? What are our rights to auction our Tier 1 water rights? My understanding is if we are annexed and we don't immediately go to CCID and say, okay, we want to auction our Tier 1 property, our water rights, and we use it as Tier 2, when something comes in and builds there, we no longer, they just cut us off. We have no rights. We can't auction our water or anything. So what is the timing for us to exercise our Tier 1 water right auction rights? And given the large area, where does the building have to begin to discontinue the agreement if we did have an agreement with the city that we did get Tier 1 water? Then the second concern is our well and the availability of city services. Since build out of this plan is not expected for 15 or more years, it is very possible that our well will not be viable during this entire time period, especially if we experience additional drought years. It would be cost prohibitive to attach to city services given the location of the home. You told me the city would consider the situation and we would be allowed to keep the well operable until such time as it would be feasible to attach to the city. When the city has built the water line along Highway 33 to the front of our property, it would be considered our responsibility to attach at that time. However, the pipeline planned along Highway 33 is for commercial use and still located at least 350 feet from the home, again making the cost of attachment prohibitive. We would only need to attach the home, so I would like to know if it would be possible to attach to the residential lines to the west of our property. You're going to put in a huge line down 33, again 315 feet from my home. I don't have water, and I got residential water right behind me. So I don't know why I wouldn't be able to tap into the residential. I'm not trying to water my property, I'm trying to run my home. I would like clarification, and I would like it in writing. These are huge impacts to my family. Like I said, been there a long time. My dad moved into that property when he was 8 years old. Both of my grandmothers were born here. We've been here a really long time, and I feel like we're being put. I'm going to be on this little island with no water. You're going to see weeds and dirt out there, unless this is somehow figured out. And I know we met really late for you guys to be involved in it, but I would really appreciate some clarification in writing before you go forward with anything. And I own 9 of those 27 acres, and highly doubtful that I'm going to let Taco Bell build on that property. So I don't know what you guys have planned out there, but I would really like somebody to explain it to me. That is a very historic building. Thank you.
Any other members of the public would like to speak?
Hi, my name is Deborah Allen. I live at 1520 S Street here in Newman. I'm also a member of the Planning Commission. I just wanted to talk to you. First of all, I wanted to say that the plan and the EIR are very well done. I have no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the timing. I think I'm looking at why I moved here and the quality of life in this town. And if we have even 1,300 new houses, that's going to be over 5,000 people. That's going to change this town a lot. And it wasn't the. When do we start losing the small town quality that was here? I don't know. It's a question, and there's a lot of people I know that have that question. Because we're not even built out on the other side yet. And it's already, there's nowhere to park downtown. It's hard to go shopping downtown. And then there's the problem of a larger town to the north, like Patterson. We can see, that things are hard there in a lot of ways, especially for law enforcement. And part of moving to a town like this is to you feel safer, and there is less heavy-duty crime here at this point. But that's 5,000 more people. And to boot, some of the questions, like it flooded severely, not all across this whole area, but at least along a certain section right along Highway 33. That has not been fixed up yet. I know there's plans there, but we don't know when they're going to take effect. That bothers me because that can be a problem for the people that move there, even though they'll probably be on elevated pads and so on. And I just think that maybe we could wait a little while. Because we've got plenty of stuff building right now, and I know you can't just wait until everything's filled up and then go through this process. But this is a huge annexation. And the town has already doubled since I moved here in 1991. And I just feel like the quality of life is going to be an issue when we add 5,000 people here. And I also realize it's not going to happen overnight. But still, I'm just speaking for a lot of the people who want that small town feeling, and I think it's going to get lost as if we get so huge like that. Anyway, that's my point of view, so thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Debbie.
name is Martha Esprillo, and I live at 1037 N Street, and I agree with the lady that was just up here. I grew up here, and my children did too. And at least my concern is raising the water. It's a lot of the community members are low-income families, and I think it'll be a hardship on our families from Newman. And also, of course, making this city bigger is going to bring more crime, and it is a safe place right now. So I would suggest the same thing, if you guys can take your time and think about it a little bit longer for the sake of Newman.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm a resident and homeowner at 27519 Fig Lane.
Your name, please?
Oh, Luis Torres.
Thank you.
Sorry. So, like I said, as a landowner and resident on the Fig Lane Street, one of my concerns is actually the plans of I don't know if it's low income housing on the corner on Stewart Road. I don't know if somebody would elaborate as in what are the plans on that. That's a concern for me. If it is going to be low income housing, I would appreciate more clarification on that. And if it's possible also in terms of the commercial aspect, the commercial warehouse, because it's at least the plan, according to the plan, it's going to be right across the street from my house. So I was wondering if anybody could give me clarification as to what type of businesses is the city planning to welcome into that area, as I'm pretty sure most of the people who live on that street will be impacted significantly, and also in terms of the water, as most of the people on that incorporated area of Newman, it's one of the concern is there any future cost that the current owners are they going to incur in the future? I guess if the city could give us any clarifications what to expect later on if we're going to incur any additional cost for this new development that the city has planned for that section, I really appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments from the public? Being done, I'm going to bring it back to the council for direction.
Mayor, if you'd like, I could maybe address some of the concerns that we heard tonight.
Yes, please.
Okay. So with the first speaker, we talked about CCID. So what happens is if the annexation moves forward, CCID generally requests detachment for the area that are annexed, and those properties move from a Class 1 to a Class 2 for agricultural uses, which means they get a second priority in terms of them receiving water. Class 1 water would receive priority over Class 2 lands in terms of receiving their allotment of water. In my conversations with Mr. White, the executive director over there, they've all Class 2 waters, even in the most severe drought years, got their water. What we offered was, in a severe drought year, if those Class 2 lands weren't going to get, we have 30 acres of Class 1 water. In the severe drought year, if some of those property owners weren't going to get their allotment during that particular year, we would allow them to utilize our water that year, because we're allotted 30 acres of water. We would then allow them, we wouldn't be transferring our water right as a whole, but for that particular year, our water allotment could be moved to a different property. I've spoken or have conversed with Mr. White on that, And it's generally not something that they do on a regular basis, but they have allowed it in rare occurrences, and he does not foresee an issue of that happening again under those most severe situations. It's kind of hard to, I know Ms. Marsigli had some issues that she wanted to talk about with it well, but we're trying to talk hypotheticals at this particular time, so it's hard to say. We don't have a water line in front right now, so if she wanted to come in and maybe tap into the back water line that's off of, I think that's Lee Avenue is the one she was talking about there. That's something that we could consider at that point in time, but it's kind of hard to talk hypotheticals at this particular situation, at this particular time. We're in the process of extending a water line down Mariposa from T to serve residents whose wells have failed so that they can get water. So, the city has done that. I mean, we're extending it out into the county area for people whose wells have failed so that they could tap into the city line if they wanted to. So that wouldn't be unprecedented if her well went out at a future date and that she needed to tap in and get city water. That wouldn't be unprecedented for that to happen. I know people talk a little bit about timing and the annexation, and we need to wait. The city hasn't annexed any land since 1999, 2000, right around that time frame when we did some annexations there. It's been a number of years since we annexed. We literally have less than 100 lots that a house could be built on right now. Now, Mr. Souza owns some paper lots on Prince Road that could ultimately be developed into about another 100 lots. So maybe we have ultimately up to about 200 lots. At the current way they're building right now, they're building about 1 to 2 a week. So the inventory is not great in our community. And people like to say that until their kid needs a house or someone they know needs a new house, and we don't have any lots to build any houses. And then the affordability goes up because your inventory is constrained as well. What we're only proposing here is planning for the future. We're not saying you're going to build the houses, but if the market turns around and there's a need for housing, at least we have a plan for moving forward. We're not panicking because we're out of land and we need to hurry up and build. We have a plan. We're going to have a development plan. We're going to have a phasing plan and a financing plan to make it happen. That's what this is all about. This is a planning process right now about if the need is there in the future, how do we go about doing it? And that's what these documents are providing to you. We don't know, I know that the gentleman asked about the HDR up on top, up here. Again, the state's requiring us to put a certain number of high-density residential lots in there. I mean, if you ask city staff, we would say that those would be just market rate housing, and there is no income level stipulation on them. But we just, at this point in time, until we get a developer in and looking at that, we don't know what that is. If I had to take my best guess, I bet you that would, would probably at least a decade away from probably seeing any kind of proposal for that HDR, that high density stuff up on top. In terms of uses in the business park, you kind of see business parks that are developed in Modesto and the like, and you might have a small front with some roll-up doors and people, maybe the smaller businesses. What we anticipate is we don't have a landmass like Patterson has for their business park, and they have the huge buildings out there, big trucks rolling in and out. We just don't have that amount of land. What we're hoping is we provide support services. Maybe we have forklift mechanics and some of the other things that go out there and provide services. Maybe it's a sister city, someone who supplies Amazon or supplies CVS and fixes some of their equipment and electronics and stuff like that. A little bit higher paying jobs out there. But it's maybe it's a smaller business and they got like 5 trucks, and they got a roll-up door and you come in, they're plumbers and electricians, and those are the kind of jobs that we're anticipating that are going to be out here in the business park area. We don't anticipate the heavy truck traffic that you're seeing off of Sperry Road from Amazon and CVS and the Restoration Hardware. That's not what this is being proposed. This is the smaller stuff over in this particular area. And then community commercial is what community commercial is. I mean, at some point in time, our residents don't always want to drive out of town to go somewhere to shop to get something, and if that's ultimately what we need to do, is we need to start planning for that, so that way at some point in time other businesses can move in here to provide services that people don't currently have or can't get in our community. With respect to water, we are building a well and a tank out here, and it will come down and tie into the existing city. There will not be any fees or charges for anybody. If somebody came in and actually wanted to tie into it, then you would just have to pay the fee that any house pays. But other than that, if you're continuing to use your well, then there are no fees to you at that point in time. So I think I covered most of the stuff that was out there.
Any other questions for the city manager at this time? Well, I bring it back to council for direction.
I'd just like to say a couple of things. I think it's smart to plan out our phasing process to build. If we don't, then we're hurried. We've done a good job of planning out and building individual communities in the different sections, as this one is. And as you guys could see from the chart, it's broken up in sections across the city for long-term growth. This isn't going to be built out overnight. This isn't something that's going to be built. This is 20 years at least down the road by the time it's fully built out. But you have to have a plan in place, because if you don't, then you end up in a hurry putting stuff together. Like Michael said, when we are looking for houses for our other family members. I know I have a lot of family and friends that want to come here or lost the place that they previously had, and they can no longer find a place to even rent in town. There's nothing available, and they've had to move to other cities, and they've lived here for years and years and years. I have 2 family friends that had to move because they couldn't find anywhere to live here without having to buy a house or buy a brand new built house in that aspect. So it's pretty important to go through this planning process that we're going through. With that, is there any way we can get some clarification from CCID, maybe even something water, that we can transfer our water if that becomes necessary?
So we have 2 things. Again, I've spoken with Mr. White, and he doesn't see it as an issue. But until we do negotiations with property owners and get some kind of agreement in place for CCID to see, that's going to take a little bit of time. We anticipate that that'll be done before you get your LAFCO application. Before we actually submit an application to LAFCO, we anticipate that we will have those agreements in place with property owners with respect to CCID.
And then when it comes back from there, we reapprove it to finalize everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, because they're phasing. There could be some things that go along in the LAFCO application that we're not anticipating right now. We have to talk to some of the larger landowners a little bit, and see where we're at with that. So we don't know what the final application is going to look like at this particular point in time. So that's why we just get you to approve the master plan and consistent with our general plan and move forward, and then we can come back to you and say, okay, this is a kind of more of a phasing plan that we've kind of worked out. This is how CCID is going to be addressed, and we've worked this out with CCID and the property owners.
Right.
This is how animals are going to work out. Some of the people out there have animals.
Right.
So we want to respect that right that they have. So we're going to develop a policy and bring that to you, and that'll be part of our LAFCO application of how we're going to handle that particular situation for people that have animals out there.
Right. Okay.
This is a step-by-step process, and this is just a small step in the overall process. Today's not the end of the world. Once we make a decision, it's not the end of everything. It has to go through LAFCO. There will be additional opportunities for us to review, to discuss it with the community, and approve additional steps as we move forward.
Far from the end of the world, this is really the start of it all. I mean, we've done a lot of work up to this point, but there's still a lot more work that has to be done before we can push any dirt, before we can do any improvements, before we can even submit your LAFCO application. There's still a lot of work that we have to do before we continue to move this forward. So, again, this is not the last step. There's still a lot more that you're going to review and come forward.
So if we just sit on it, nothing happens.
Yeah, at some point, we have to make one decision so we can continue to
Exactly.
do some follow-up
Okay.
actions afterwards.
Very
If this
good.
continues to sit, everything else continues to sit. We don't move forward.
And this is consistent with the general plan that was approved by the community back several years ago.
It started in the general plan process started in 2005. We had a number of workshops and concluded in 2007. And this is what the community said they wanted. This is what the planning commission approved. And this is what ultimately the city council approved with this particular process we're going through right now. A comprehensive planning process. So again, this is a document that allows you to plan for your future, to tell you what it's going to, if development occurs, this is what it's going to look like. This doesn't force anybody to develop. This doesn't force anybody to sell their property. This is just a plan that if development is going to occur in Newman, this is how it's going to look, and this is how it's going to be phased out, and this is how it's going to be paid for ultimately when we get the financing plan and phasing plan as part of it.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Well, let me say this, is I think that it is very important for a small city like Newman to have a plan in place. Because as we sit here and discuss about the plans for the city of Newman, there's things happen outside of Newman that are being developed. As we talk now, there's plans for a corridor from 99 to 5. And once that corridor is approved, that means that everything on that corridor is going to be developed. We need to be in step with the developments that are taking place outside of Newman. Because if we don't, we have a city that's south of us that basically didn't embrace. We don't want to be caught in between to where we become that city that is a ghost town. We need to stay in step with what's happening around us. And that's important.
Any direction?
I'd like to recommend that we adopt resolution number 2017, next in number, a resolution of the Newman City Council to certify the environmental impact report, adopt the findings related to significant impacts, alternatives, and statement of overriding considerations for the Northwest Newman Master Plan. This is just the EIR.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, 4 with 1 absent. Okay, the second part is to adopt resolution number 2017, next number, resolution of the City Council of the City of Newman adopting the Northwest Newman Master Plan for Newman 2030 General Plan, Master Plan, Area 3, and approving related General Plan Amendment 17-01, Annex number 17-02, and pre-zone number 17-02 application.
I move to approve number 2 as read.
I'm sorry?
I move to approve number 2 as read.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, 4 with 1 absent. Okay, the next item, B. First reading and introduction of ordinance number 2017, next number, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newman amending Title 11, Public Ways and Property, Section 11.06.080 of the Newman City Code, settling wastewater rates, fees, and related services charges effective February 8, 2018. And
I got this one.
Oh.
Even the mayor and council members, on this agenda item, there are three things that we need to attend to. The first is the public hearing. A second is the count of the written protest votes. And lastly, if no majority protest is recorded, council needs to vote on introducing the proposed ordinance. During the public hearing, the public is given time to comment on the proposed rates and the proposed ordinance. Verbal comments during the public hearing by California law do not count as protest votes. For a protest vote to count, it must be written. If anyone here didn't bring a written protest and wishes to protest, there are blank forms on the back counter and then also up here at the podium. On the form, it does request your APN number. If you don't know it, your address will suffice. After those who want to speak have done so, the mayor will call for a final opportunity to turn in the protest votes. Once the mayor bangs the gavel to end the public hearing, we can no longer accept the protest votes. If a majority protest is recorded, the ordinance to change the rates cannot be introduced. In our case, 1,777 written protests are needed to prevent the council from introducing the ordinance. Once the public hearing is closed, the protest votes will be totaled, and then we'll report on the final count. So, Mayor, if you'd like to open the public hearing?
We'll open it to public hearing. If anyone would like to make comments on this matter, please step to the podium and announce their name and address for the record. There being none.
All right. Well, Mayor, we've only received 8 protest votes against the ordinance, so there's no majority protest. Since no protest was recorded, the ordinance before you tonight is an introduction and first reading to update the wastewater rates currently listed in our city ordinances. A second reading of this ordinance would take place on January 9th, 2018 at our regular council meeting. And if approved at both meetings, the new wastewater rates would become effective February 8th, 2018. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for the council? We'll bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we, wait, are we approving the first reading of this, or?
Yeah.
I apologize. I move that we approve the first reading and introduction of the ordinance number, next of number 2017, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Newman amending Title 11 Public Ways and Property Section 11.06.080 of the Newman City Code, setting wastewater rates, fees, and related service charges effective February 8, 2018.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 4 with 1 absent. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. And no regular business tonight. We'll move on to number 11, item from District 5 Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim DiMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Martina, members of the council. I just have a few things tonight. Last night, the mayor and I were at the Newman School District meeting where we gave out awards for the art and essay contest. Those of you who have not seen it yet, this is our calendar for 2018. We've distributed them throughout the west side. There are some that are available here at City Council school districts, and I have some even on the table in the back. This year, the students of Newman really swept the entries this year as far as the winners. Of the 13 entries we have, and we have 13 because there's one grand prize, 8 of them were from Newman. It was the best Newman's ever done. And this competed against Gustine and Patterson. But just the artwork was better, and so we distributed the awards last night. So we had a real nice ceremony, and was very happy to give out the awards. By the way, the grand prize winner was also this one up here. This was the youngest kid that had ever won. She was just in the first grade, and she was just a little thing too. As here came up, she was about 3 feet high, I'd say. But anyway, we're very happy to put those out. There was one essay contest winner also. All the excuse me, all the awards for Gustine and Patterson were given out last week. anyway, we're on for another year. So anyway, and for those the public there would like to have a calendar, they're free, just pick one up. Happy to give them out. The next task force meeting, we'll work on various things like a youth member, scheduled for February 1st at Gustine City Hall. And tentatively, not for sure yet, the Health Summit for this year is going to be June 14th. It'll be here at Newman at the West Side Theater, although June 14th is the tentative date. It could change. But there's other things, as you can expect, the EIR for the Crows Landing Air Base still not ready yet. It is now a year and a half behind schedule. Keith Boggs tells me it will be done in January. We'll wait and see. It was supposed to have been done of August last year. It's still not done yet. I think he's blamed everybody but himself for this so far. And then one other thing I think would be of interest to you, and I've mentioned it once before, about some application that we have, in fact, we've just submitted it for groundwater recharge. And the application, I have not read it yet, but it was just submitted on December 8th, and it's just a few days ago. As I told you, the county is trying to get the grant to do groundwater recharge in 3 areas in the county where we have uncontrolled flows that have caused a lot of property damage. One of them is Dry Creek area. This Dry Creek does not have a dam on it, and it runs uncontrolled and floods. Another one is Solano Creek that goes through Patterson, and it did flood out there last year because I went out there and had to deal with it. And then the other one of interest to you is Orstemba Creek, which runs dry most of the year, but it can be a torrent there if there's enough rainfall. So the county's plan through this grant, if we win it, will be to kind of mitigate the flows and channel that water into the groundwater. I think it's a great project, really, and it's designed to alleviate some of the flooding that you have here in Newman. Also Patterson also. I don't have the application with me, but it would be a public record. It was written by a group called Woodward and Curran. They're the ones who wrote it and submitted it. And I don't know when the state will make the decision. We're competing in other areas too. The Water Resources Board is the one giving out these grants. So we'll see. But I think it could be a real benefit to the west side if we were able to do this. Okay, then that's all I have for this evening.
Well, thank you.
If you have anything.
Thank you. Good to see you back.
Okay, well, yeah, I looked back at my schedule there, and I had a CSAC meeting in one of your councils when you met, which is the State Association of Counties. Another one was a LAFCO conference. Then, of course, you canceled your one for Thanksgiving, so I haven't been here for a while. So I'm back now for every time. I had 4 out-of-town conferences in 5 weeks, which is not something I really like, but had to go. Anyway, it's nice to be back.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
We
Supervisor.
miss you when you're not here.
Right.
And with that, we go to item 12, and that's the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Our last day at City Hall will be December 21st, and then we'll have our Christmas closure, and we'll reopen on January 2nd. That means this will be our last meeting of the year. For those of the members of the public who weren't able to attend, I thought the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, I thought it went over really well. I think your guys' tree looks phenomenal. You guys did a great job picking it. Mary did a great job leading the thing on there, so appreciate that. I'd like to thank the school district. I did send an email to Superintendent Philpott, but you know, the school district was kind of in charge of the parade. They brought in some of their performers and sang some songs out in front of the theater. I thought that was a nice added touch over there. You know, the motorcycle crew came through. There were a couple of tractors. Moonshine Dairy came through with the tractor. I thought it was a nice added touch, and hopefully maybe next year we can get that to expand and continue it to be a tradition as part of the Christmas tree lighting ceremony. I thought it went over really well. So, and then lastly, so youth basketball practices have started. So after the first of the year on Saturdays, they'll start having games in both Hunt Elementary and at the high school level. So with that, I just offer you all a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a great holiday season and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Quickly, update on our Tickets for Tots. We donated about 2 full vehicles worth of toys and canned foods and food items to the Toys for Tots drive.
Great.
Along with that, with our holiday patch sale that we did, we created a patch for the holidays and sold them off. We also donated about $400 cash to that effort. The Christmas tree lighting was great. I was there in attendance. We're in a mirror City Hall with our police department office will be closed the same dates that City Hall is closed. Obviously, the police officers will still be here and you can reach them through dispatch. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good evening. I have nothing to report, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay. Merry Christmas.
I didn't have anything to report either, but if you have any questions, anything, I'll happy to answer for you.
Financially sound?
Yes.
Do we get any bonuses or Christmas presents?
Government employees do not get bonuses.
No. I don't think that, not in Newman, maybe some other town.
Thank you. I just have a couple items to report. The willows out at Sherman Parkway, the rest of them are going to be removed hopefully before the end of this year. We entered into an agreement, so we're going to finish all the willows, and then we'll go on to the next step of the continuing improvement of the Sherman Parkway landscape. Next, the footings were poured today for the lighting at Hill Park. We're going to have 2 lights, one on either end of the park, and they expect maybe to have the lights functioning by the end of this week. So if you get a chance, maybe next week, drive by and see how the lights look out there. That'll lighten up that park. It was pretty dark. Well 6 is having issues. We're having it video inspected. It's a good time of year to do it. It's winter, so it's not having a huge impact on our capabilities of providing water to the community. So we're in good shape there. We're going to have it inspected and then see what we need to do and how much it's going to cost to take care of the issues. We may jet it out and clean it, kind of rehab it and rebuild the pump and things. And that's all I have. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Chief, please think of that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to let you guys know Southern California is burning. We did send some local resources, so one of our local firefighters is down there right now fighting the effort. So hopefully you guys can keep her in your prayers and thoughts. During the holiday season, we do notice a spike in fires, so I just want to remind you, keep your trees watered if you have a fresh cut tree. And then when you're done with it, make sure you put it, discard it safely. I can answer any questions you may have.
First, a couple things I'd like to, almost everybody's left, so there's still a handful of people here. He's already gone, Mr. Vargas. If he watches our video or not, thank you for your service to our community and to our country, and good luck in your retirement. I'd like to thank everybody who came out and spoke their minds tonight about the annex and that and the ongoing with that. It's very important to be involved in our communities, and we appreciate it. The tree, I think the tree looks great. It's a little skinny, but it'll fill out. It has great potential. I think it has great potential. It looks really good. Also, the school, thank you for coming out and giving a presentation on the Footsteps to Brilliance. It looks like it's a good program. My kids are already playing with them. They love it. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it said that kids on lower income families have limited vocabulary compared to higher economics, and this will help build that up. And it was a difference of millions of words they know going just in the first grade. What was it? 30 million. 30 million? 30 million word count. And what was it if on a lot of the lower numbers? Do you recall the minimum?
No.
Okay.
She was
was
saying
a-
there was a 30 million word gap.
Oh,
The
30
number-
million gap.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
number of
okay,
words
thank you.
that a child
Yeah.
heard between
Right.
up until their school
So
age.
a 30 million word gap going into first grade, between some, people that work with their kids and don't. And, like I said, this resource is actually a great resource. So if you have kids or grandkids at home, look it up. You might be able to use it. So it's a great resource. What's that?
0 to 5.
0 to 5. So, and other than that, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, I'd like to take this time to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a safe Happy New Year's. But I want to expound on a very close friend of mine, one that you probably heard about. Me and my wife had the opportunity of working very closely with Ed Lee, the mayor of San Francisco. Very dear friend of mine, passed away. And I just want to just wish his family and keep their family in prayer. Ed Lee is a very good guy. He's a civil rights attorney, and he worked very closely in terms of bringing a lot of footsteps to the city of San Francisco. So I just wanted to expound on his death. And that's all.
Thank you, sir. Casey's covered most everything I was going to say. That's great. Like minds are genius minds. I wouldn't go that far. Thank you, Casey. No, I would like to wish everyone the happiest of holidays coming up. Remember, it's better to give than to receive. My grandkids don't agree with that, but it is. And again, we do appreciate all the comments from the community in this whole process. We understand there are deep feelings in this community, and we want to respect those feelings. And yet we also have a responsibility to our community to move ourselves forward in an orderly and planned way. And that's what we're trying to do. And with that, I'll give it to you, sir.
Yeah, well, everything that Murray said, I concur with. Unfortunately, we all like that small town feel. But the small town feel doesn't always work, because what happens, if we hadn't grown, if we had stayed like we were 25 years ago, we'd all be shopping at Lloyd's. We wouldn't be able to go to Rockville and take advantage of a nice store. And I don't know, it's unfortunate that there's things that you give up when you grow, a lot more noise, a lot more traffic, everything else. But I don't know, I think that's just progress, and I think that's part of towns continuing to grow. And I think if they don't grow, then they actually die. So that's my feeling. Anyway, I'm glad that everyone came out tonight to talk about, our new plan. As far as, I think it's important that people express their feelings. We want to know what people are thinking, because this is important, because you're part of the community. Anyway, on a better note, I would like to say, Aaron Souza, coach of the Warriors football team, should really be congratulated. And he will, because I'm sure the paper's going to come out tomorrow, and you're going to see some good things. And I don't know if anybody follows the Warriors, but Aaron Souza, he's done something that very few people have ever done. 3 years in a row, he's lost no games. And so kudos to him, kudos to the team and the players and everything else. And he has some fine young men that play for him. So anyway, with that, I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we'll convene next year. And with that,
Could I say this before we close? Is that if you had not grown a little bit, I would have never met you all. So thanks for that opportunity.
Well, I don't want to be shopping at Lloyd's, but I don't know if you guys ever shop at Lloyd's. Yeah, Lloyd's, I like Lloyd's too. But you know something? Limitations.
Make sure you adjourn.
Move for adjournment.
Okay.
Move for adjournment.
We will continue
Second.
this war next year. With that,
I
motion
tried
adjourned.
it. Yep.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are
We're done.
adjourned.
Thank you.